I want to introduce to you Eric Wharton, HTR. She is horticultural therapist and program director at Loveland Youth Gardeners in Colorado. Erica is a horticultural therapist. She holds a BS in computer science from New Mexico State University, and she is a Larimer County Master Gardener. She has a strong background in youth work, program development, and nonprofit management. For over 15 years, she has been creating and leading programs for youth facing challenges, and she has served as the executive director of a nonprofit that supported foster and adoptive youth in Larimer County for 10 years. Erica is also a soil enthusiast who has spent over 10 years building, designing, and running community gardens. Erica loves to spend time with her family and friends, cook new foods and try new restaurants, read books, and tend to her home garden and plant room. So I want to dive right into Erica's presentation. Welcome, Erica.
Thank you, Susan. I appreciate that. Good morning, everybody in Mountain Time. I guess good afternoon for those of you who are not. I'm excited to be here today and to chat with you all. Let me see if I can get my slide to change. There we go. We're going to talk a little bit about Loveland Youth Gardeners and the amazing work that we do. I hope that you guys will ask some questions and so you can learn a little bit more about what we do. So Loveland Youth Gardeners is a 26-year-old agency. It was founded by a licensed social worker in our community who was a master gardener. She believed that nature was a great way to help the youth that she worked with. And so she left the social work world and created this amazing nonprofit that is still abundant today. Our mission is to empower youth that are facing challenges to cultivate life and work skills, environmental stewardship, and a spirit of community service, because we believe that every youth deserves to thrive. Our vision is to help our youth blossom as individuals and grow in their relationships with people in Earth. We have some main goals that we work on in all our programs. We try to encourage our youth to develop life skills and job skills. We try to promote active volunteerism through service in our community, and we encourage environmental stewardship by educating everyone who comes to our farm about our natural resources and how best we can practice conservation. So here is our amazing garlic team last year from 2023. They harvested 150 heads of garlic from our small farm. They were in charge of harvesting, cleaning it, and braiding it. And then we ultimately sold it and then saved some for seed garlic for this coming year. So who do we serve? For our horticulture therapy programs, well, let me back that. All of our programs serve youth ages 3 to 21 years of age. Specifically for our horticulture therapy program, we support youth facing any barriers to success in their lives. We see a lot of diagnosis, ADHD, autism, reactive attachment disorder, fetal alcohol syndrome disorder, and bipolar. A lot of our youth who are in our horticulture therapy programs do not have diagnosis. They come from complex trauma, generational trauma. They have a lot of behavioral problems. Many of our youth are unable to participate in normal after-school programs or with other agencies due to the type of support that they need. Our youth can be referred to us by Human Services, our local school district, therapists within the school district and outside the district. We work closely with the DA's office and restorative justice partners in our community. And we also work with a lot of other nonprofits in our community that are supporting our youth. Our youth do not have to be referred to us to participate in our horticulture therapy program, but we do partner closely with a variety of agencies so that we can get our services out to everybody who needs them. So let's talk about our main programs. So LEAD is our Leadership Exploration and Development Program. It is our vocational horticulture therapy program. And that is for youth ages 13 to 20. We will dive into this program a lot in this presentation, so I'll go ahead and talk about our other programs a little bit. Repair to Grow is our horticulture therapy program that supports programs for schools and agencies in Larimer County. So we offer wraparound services for their groups. These are closed groups and they run through the off season, September through May. I will perform these groups in offsite from our farm. They're usually held in classrooms or with our other agencies. Our Green Adventures program is our outdoor and environmental learning program for youth ages 3 to 12. This is in a variety of ways, but our main one is our day camps. These are found on day offs from school. Kids can come to our program, our farm, and they learn all about what's going on the farm at that moment. They explore the garden, they explore our chickens, they're looking for insects, they're just being curious. Those are open to any student who would like to participate. We also have My Little and Me, and those are for our preschool kiddos and their guardians. They come for a morning and they explore a theme. They have story time. They do a nature art-based project, and they get to spend some time with the adult in their life, and they're open to anybody in our community. Cultivating Community is our last area program, and those are a way of giving back to our amazing community that supports us. We donate the majority of our food that we grow into our community. We have a team of lead students who maintain the planters in downtown Loveland, and so they pull a cart, they water and fertilize the flowers and keeping the downtown area space beautiful. We also have community service days for our youth who either are required to complete service hours, or maybe they have a volunteer or a graduation requirement to complete volunteer hours. We also offer events at the farm, and so we just look for a way to encourage people to come to our farm and explore the farm. So here's a snapshot of our programs last year. We were really fortunate to serve 280 youth total through our three main programs, Repair to Grow, Green Adventures, and LEAD. We offered 393 program hours through our three main programs. We serve primarily 48% of our students are primarily 13 and older, and a smaller group of our kids served are younger than 18. You can see that we offer a lot of different program hours and different capacities. It's really important to us, the member hours that we serve. All right, so let's talk about LEAD. LEAD is our bread and butter program. This is what we've been known for. It stands for Leadership, Exploration, and Development, and this is our 2023 crew that helped run the farm. They are here standing at the corn roast parade, getting ready to give out candy and seeds because, in their opinion, those are the two best things to share with our public. For this program, we take youth ages 13 to 21 years of age. Students can apply for this position to be in our program. So we treat it like a job. They are interviewed and they provide references as well. We use references and the interview as my first level of assessment to understand what needs the student has and the goals that they would like to work on. Our returning students are automatically guaranteed a spot, but they are still required to interview as well. During that interview, we're diving in a little bit more about maybe some of the things that they had shared with me in the past, maybe some of the struggles. I'm learning more about their home environment, how did school go, things like that. This job for them is a true summer job. They receive a stipend for being with us. They are required to clock in, clock out. They learn to call in if they are unable to make it. They have to line up their transportation. All the vital skills that one needs to have a job. This is what we are teaching them during this time with us. These students run the farm with me. And so they are required to give tours of the farm. At the beginning of the season, nobody wants to give a tour. They are super nervous. They will look away when I'm looking for a volunteer. And by the end of the season, they are so excited. They are eager to give a tour. They are eager to show their farm, or in specifically the areas that they are responsible for. It's beautiful to see them take ownership of the farm and pride, especially being a part of something that is so important to them. I am very fortunate. I have 19 volunteers who work with me for this program, not every day. They are all ages from all different walks of life. They help me build relationships with our student and be that one-on-one support that many of our student needs. This program runs immediately after school gets out here in Loveland, Colorado. It usually is right before Memorial, and it runs through September. We decided to do that because of our growing season. We have a very small growing season here, and by the time they go back to school in August, our tomatoes are just starting to green up. So they are with me Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday in the summer from 8 to 11:30. And then on Fridays and Mondays, they are with, if they sign up for a special team, they are there with me at the farm. When they go back to school, they come on Saturday mornings and they help maintain the farm, harvest, and continuing on their work. And then we end our time together at the end of September. So what kind of things do we work on? I get asked this a lot. I get asked a lot, how do I make relationship with youth who are known to be challenging or hard. And I always kind of laugh because I keep thinking, well, what do I need? And I need a relationship, an authentic relationship. And so that is our number one thing that we work on together with our youth. Everybody who works with our students in this LEAD program, we focus on relationships. We all take notes about things that the students share, things that they might be struggling with, things that they say, their name, what they truly want to be called, because in my opinion, relationships matter and everything else is icing on the cake. I feel like I can't teach them any vocational skills or anything else unless they trust us. And so relationship is fundamental to what we do. It might take many seasons for us to build that relationship, but it's the only one thing that we primarily work on first. The second thing is community. Many of our students, when they write their initial goals with me at the beginning of the season, they talk about how they have no one and nobody. And so we feel that next to relationships, community is what we build at the farm. Everybody is welcome at the farm as they are. We don't have to like each other, but we have to respect each other. It is extremely important that we work on this. We build a tribe, and this is their tribe. After that, we work on a variety of skills that we have identified to that we think is important for maintaining a job. So stewardship of ourself, our items, and then also our farm as well as the environment. We work on relationship and collaboration skills. I don't know about you, but if you punch your boss, you're not going to keep your job. So really, it's important, these relationship skills, self-awareness, and self-management ties into that as well. We work on communication skills. We learn how to communicate. I think as a society, we have lost the art of having hard conversations, respectful hard conversations. And so that is something that we do at the farm a lot. As you can imagine, I have families who come from different backgrounds and different beliefs. And so a lot of things come into the farm that might not make other people happy. And so we work on holding space for those differences, respect for those differences, and making sure everybody is seen and accepted as they are. We work on time management. The youth are required to start at 8 a.m. is when opening circles start. That doesn't mean they walk in at 8, they grab their snack, they do sunscreen. That means if they need to do all of those things, they need to arrive before 8 and be in the circle at 8 o'clock. They work on goal management. They set goals for themselves, for their teams, and they learn how to work through those goals. And then also, all of this is nothing if we don't work on social emotional learning. So self-awareness and self-management. These are very vital skills for a lot of our kids who are so used to reacting and not necessarily learning how to hold those emotions and work with them in a healthy way. So LEAD is a three-stage program. We have three stages that our youth work through in order to complete our program. These stages can take a year to complete, one at a time. Some of them might enter at the first stage and then go and stay there for a while until they age out of our system. Some of them might go to the second one and leave. It just depends. I do not really necessarily try to push them through the stages. I want them to work through those goals and the goals that we have created for them, but I also want them to have those relationships and a place to belong. That's more important to me. So our first stage is our radical stage. So in this stage, we really focus on our youth to learning how to be responsible for themselves and their actions, putting away their tools, bringing their water bottle, wearing their uniform, things like that. They also learn basic horticulture skills and they work on building a community for themselves. Our second stage is shoot. All of our students, they continue to learn a little bit more about themselves. They will have opportunities to lead small groups. They will have started to learn about farm management. They will help to mentor new students, and they'll also start to learn about interviewing skills and resume building as well. So taproot is our final stage, and this is where we hope that they'll have learned to be responsible for themselves and their feelings. They're not going to be perfect at it, but they're going to learn those indications that they're going to flip their lid and how best to either ask for 5 minutes or walk away. We're also looking at them to have managed a vital piece of our farm and having multiple opportunities to represent us in the community. They will teach horticulture skills to their peers and they'll mentor their peers as well. They will reach out to our community to make connections for internships or employment. Our hope is that when they do finish their program with us, that they will find an internship or a job with one of our many partners. So what does a day look like? As many of our youth who come from trauma backgrounds, schedule and consistency is very key. I have a big schedule that we handwrite every morning about what we are going to do. It does not really differ much unless we're going to go on a field trip or we're going to do a bigger activity. But for the most part, it is always like this, and it helps to keep everybody's anxiety to a minimum. So we start our day with opening circle. Once everybody is clocked in, they go to opening circle. We sit and we talk about what's going on for that day. We might talk about a theme. We might talk about an activity, a topic. Maybe we're talking about something next week. I always propose an opening question, anything from what's your favorite taco topping to what does it truly mean to belong or to be just a part of a group, things like that. So we're also talking about some of the things that are going on, some of the relationship issues that I'm seeing, things like that. The second part of our day is farm work. I divide up the students to be working with an adult and then some of their peers. Some of those peers might be people that they really enjoy. Some of those peers might be people that they don't really enjoy because as we all know, we don't love everybody we work with, but we have to work with them. And so during this farm work time, they as a group self-select from the farm task and they go and they complete them. That can be anything from weeding to fixing a irrigation leak to harvesting something that needs to be harvested or whatever that looks like. It's a variety of skills and we spend the morning doing that. We always have food available during opening circle. Many of our youth either are typical teenagers and they don't like what they have at home to eat, or they rolled out of bed 2 minutes before they had to get in the car, or they don't have anything to eat, or they have to stop at the convenience store to pick up their something for breakfast. So I always have a healthy, nutritious breakfast. Well, it's more of a snack. And then at snack time, we offer that as well. So I'm a firm believer that food and mood is tied directly together. And so when I have a student who is very upset and flipping their lid, my first question always is, what did you eat today? And most of the time they talk about how they had a soda or a frappuccino or something with no protein. And so I always offer a high protein snack. And then I say, well, let's talk in 20 minutes. So snack and break is a time for them to kind of recharge. They can use their phones, they can chat with their peers, and then we move on to our next activity. And our second half of the day is it can be a variety of things. Sometimes it's a large group activity. Maybe we're planting garlic together. Maybe we are planting tomatoes. Maybe I have a HT intervention that I'm working on with them. They also could be working in smaller teams for their projects, and we'll talk a little bit more about their projects. We might have a guest speaker who's coming in to teach us about, dyeing, tie dyeing with plants. It's a variety of things. This is also the time that we might go on a field trip if it's close to the farm. We always clean up together. Everybody is responsible to clean up. If we have almost, 30 people, 20 people on site, excuse me, cleanup goes really fast. It's always the same people, so we try to encourage everybody to do their part, to look for tools and put things away. Then we get together for closing circle and we circle up and we talk about our day. We talk about things that are coming up for tomorrow. Very big on telling everybody what to expect the next day if it's not going to be normal, like a normal day. On Thursdays, we do Shout Out Thursday. And so that is a time where everybody has to give themselves one thing that they're proud of, and also one of their peers, one thing they saw them do. Everybody has to participate. And as you can imagine, there are some of our friends who can't say anything about themselves. And so we will then open it up to the floor and say, okay, what did Erica do today? Did anybody see Erica this week working hard or something? And sure enough, there'll be hands that go up in the air and people will tell them, hey, I saw you do this and I saw you do this. And man, you rocked this. And as you can imagine, what that must feel like for a lot of our youth who do not have that praise at their home life or in their school life. Also giving praise to somebody, not just the typical, oh, you're really cool, I like you, but more, man, you were really focused on track today. I love what you built. Those are really powerful images and words to hear for our youth. So something that we added for 2023 was this idea of farm projects. So I had 3 students from 2022 who completed the radical shoot, read the radical stage, and they were moving on to shoot. And so they had to lead some projects. I wanted to teach project management to them, but I didn't want it to sound so scary. A lot of our kids will be like, I can't be a leader because they think it's leading a group of 100, right? Or they don't think they can do project management because it just seems too much for them. So instead, what we did is we came up with these ideas. These 3 students were given 3 problems to solve at the farm, and they got to pick what problem they wanted to solve. So on the left-hand side, this little shelter with the white lid, they wanted to solve the problem of raccoons coming in and tearing up our trash every day. So this individual and his team built a trash and recycling center. The second photo in the middle, this student wanted to figure out a way to sell our produce when we were not on site. And so she came up with a self-serve farm stand. On the 3rd, this past spring, we had the most rain I have ever seen in Loveland, Colorado. I thought I was back in the Pacific Northwest. And so this student wanted to find a way to capture all our rain. We joked that once the rain barrels were up, we probably would never get another rainstorm, but he wanted to explore how to capture rain. And so all of these students were assigned team members to work with them, and they were required to design a solution, build the solution, provide a budget for that solution, and then present that solution. So all their budget was next to nothing. I think our a trash can project was the most expensive at $30 because we had to buy recycle like some big trash cans at Home Depot. I couldn't find anybody to donate anything. But all of these students and their teams, they went to their local recycling center and they looked for like the items that they needed. We got rain barrels from a community member who had them at their farm and they weren't looking at them. They weren't using them anymore. Students, I think about the student in the middle who did the farm stand. She had never used power tools in her life and she hated working in teams, right? But all of these projects allowed these students to learn so much about themselves, learn how the pros and the cons of working with others, and also to leave their mark at the farm. It was such a great experience, and it was so much fun to see everybody working together and providing their input and really seeing their natural um, like passions come forth, things that they didn't think they could do. So our other area of work at LEAD is that we have these teams. So not only do our students sign up for our normal leadership program, that's Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, but they can also sign up to be a part of one of our specialized teams. And so we have our harvest team, and they are responsible for harvesting our 2 production gardens. They weigh the produce, they wash the produce, and they get it ready for sale or donation. We have our bee team, and they are responsible for our bees. They suit up weekly. They are led by one of our amazing volunteers, and they learn all about the life cycle of the honeybee. They look for mites. They treat for mites. They learn about what happens when the queen dies, how to mark a queen, you name it. And they also come back and they teach their peers about what's going on in the hives. I love our bee team because it is terrifying, as you can imagine, for those of us who have never opened a hive. And so they suit up. We're talking about, what we're going to do if somebody gets stung and things like that. But man, the first time they open the hive and they see these frames full of bees, they are so excited. Like I can see how scared they are, but then they just jump right in and they are all in. And they think it's so cool to be able to do something like this. Our chicken tender team is responsible for our chickens. We have a flock of 13, and they are responsible for cleaning the hive, the hive, excuse me, the omelet, taking care of all of our chickens, treating them if they get sick. They also help to hatch any chicks that might come our way. They also package and clean our eggs and get them ready for sale. The Blooming Hearts team is our team that takes care of our planters downtown. They carry or pull a 400-pound tank all around downtown Loveland, and they are in their shirts. And as you can imagine, people are stopping and thanking them for their service and asking them questions about what they do and why they do it and telling them how beautiful the planters are. And so they get really excited to be out there and showing our community what it's all about. And our final team is called our Flowers of Joy. So last year we added a large cut flower garden to one of our production gardens, and we grew way more flowers than I had no idea what to do with. And so we decided to start flower bombing people in our community. And so we would find community members for the good work that they were doing. The kids would harvest flowers, create an arrangement, and then we would have a volunteer who would drop it off for them with a little note at supporting and celebrating all the work that they do in our community and thanking them. It was a great way to share our flowers with the community, and the kids loved learning all about flower production, harvesting at the right time, and making bouquets. So let's talk about some of the outcomes for LEAD last year. So we had 17 students apply for our program, and 15 of them completed the program successfully. Some of our students who are in non-traditional schools are able to use our program to receive makeup science credit. And so 4 of the students who applied to do that completed the program successfully and were able to receive science credit. A couple of them graduated because of that. 9 of them completed stage 1, our radical stage. So 3 of them were in 2022, and 7 of them took 2 years to complete the stage. And so we'll have 9 students in our shoot program next year. 100% were reported that they were satisfied with our program. 93% of our students said that the program helped with self-consciousness and they weren't as lonely. 64% of our students said that it helped with their depression, and 71% of the students said that it helped with their anxiety. 92% of our students said it helped them learn how to build and keep relationships. 100% of our students said that it helped them to learn responsibility, and 87% of our students said they would like to join us again. What I'm seeing is that our farm is the special sauce. Our kids will come, they will be motivated to get up early. I have parents that report to me that my kid does their laundry because you told them they had to wear their shirt every day, or they get up early and they eat something and they come to the farm and they're ready to work. And so one thing that I'm trying to figure out is how do I get that to translate to outside the farm? How do I get that those those behaviors that we're seeing at the farm to go out into the world with them at school or at jobs, things like that is something that I'm working on for this coming year. I believe when I see registration files and case files from therapists, I am always amazed that a lot of the times I do not see these behaviors at the farm. And I think that's for a variety of reasons. We're not sitting at a desk, doing standard learning. We are out moving our body, our large muscles, which is really huge for anxiety. And we're out in the sun, we're working hard, we're working as a team, we're making relationships, and we're making a tribe. And so I think that is why we are able to do such great work. So these are some of the observations that we have seen. I mentioned social connections with peer and trusted adults. A lot of our youth have never really had a healthy grandparent or a healthy adult in their life. And so it's really great. Our volunteers, like I said, come from all area walks of life, all ages. And so having somebody that remembers that you had a soccer game or that you were struggling with this kid or whatever, and they see you every day, they remember your name, that's really powerful for our youth. They learn environmental and science concept. I get a lot of comments from parents that they learn more from me in their science and in science and horticulture, biology kind of concepts than they do by sitting in a classroom. They tell me it's because their kids think it's fun and they get to explore and be curious. Obviously, we see reduced anxiety and depression because we all know that being in nature is so powerful. They get a greater sense of personal empowerment. A lot of our kids think that they are the labels that society has given them. And we have tried to show them they are more than that. Their histories are just a chapter in their life, and they get to write every chapter afterwards. And so they are learning how to build things. They are learning how to work with things that they never thought that they could do or that they would be good at. They learn new skills, like I just mentioned. They get over fears. I had kids who were terrified of chickens, and now they're running our chicken team. I think a lot of our kids do not get the ability to wonder and be curious. My favorite HT intervention is simply giving them a bag and saying they have 15 minutes to go find every bug they can find. And we come back and together we have magnifying glasses and books out and we're trying to ID them. And even some of those caterpillars are hatched out to see what kind of butterfly they become. That is excitement. That is being curious. We also really work on food access and skills related to food. I have a big nutrition component, and so we work on learning all the different food that we grow, tasting it, eating it, and learning how to prepare it so that they can take it home and do it as well. So let's talk about our farm. Our farm is called the Good Enough Farm, and we believe that everybody is truly good enough as they show up. When COVID hit, right before that, we had tried to build a greenhouse at a previous site that we were located at, and the city got really upset and they were like, oh no, you're in a floodplain, you can't do this, you got to leave. And so if there could be a blessing with regards to COVID, us slowing down our programs allowed us to find a location that was perfect for us. So the Boys and Girls Club had an abandoned BMX site and they were not using it. And we asked if we could take it over. And so we have 0.6 of an acre. It's tucked way back from the main road. It's quiet. It's right by the river. It is a really beautiful, peaceful place to be. So this is what the farm looked like when we took it over in October 2020. It was full of berms, weeds, trees, and I can't even begin to count the number of snakes and things that moved in this farm. And so we it's been the biggest garden that the former ED and I have ever built. We had it scraped and flattened by the city. And this is what it looked like. Before it looked like this, after it was scraped, I tried to put my soil knife in the ground and I thought I was dealing with concrete. It was so compacted. I was almost in tears because I had no idea what we would do and how we would afford to move concrete. Luckily, that was not the case. And one of our master gardeners told me to hire a farmer who came out and he ripped and dissed the soil down 2 feet. And so we are really fortunate because we're close to the river that we have clay, but we also have a lot of sand and loam, and the soil is gorgeous. So after we laid it all out, staked it, this is what it looked like last year. So this is the beginning of our fourth growing season, and it is just a beautiful place to be. Here is our education circle. This is where we start and open every group that we have. We can easily accommodate quite a bit of people, but what's nice is every student can pick a stone and have plenty of space around them for that bubble that some of us might need. This is what we call the omelet. It is our home for our chickens. We have 13 chickens, like I mentioned, and so we had to build a predator-proof structure. We actually dug down 2 feet and laid hardwire cloth and then put the ground back on top so that nobody can dig in. It's pretty bougie. A lot of a lot of people comment about how nice our chickens are, like their living situation. They are in this structure unless we are on site due to the number of predators. So we wanted to make sure that we had enough space for them. These are our raised wheelchair beds that we offer to our friends who have need some assistance on bending over or who are in a wheelchair. We have compact breeze, so it's easy to roll up in, and then it can be accessed on all different sides. We grow different things every year. This past year, we grew a variety of leftover herbs. This year, they'll be themed. We have a salsa garden, a tea garden planned, and things like that. Every student in our lead bed has their own 4x8 bed. They are responsible for the design, planting, and care of this bed. My second favorite day of the season is planting day. I have a master gardener assigned to each student, and together they spend the morning figuring out what seeds they want to plant, what starts they want to plant, and they get their bed all planted. It's all of our beds are on drip irrigation. Our climate is very dry. We don't get a lot of rainfall, and so it's very important to have drip irrigation. I'm very envious of those who say they don't have irrigation. We do a lot of composting at our farm. So on the left, we have what the kids call our worm hotel, which is our vermicomposting. Another great HT intervention is taking rotten food, aged manure and leaves and a little bit of water and pulverizing it with a sharp shovel until it's pureed and feeding it to our worms. This is a great way to get out a lot of nervous energy or anger or anything that the kid is showing up with that day. We do a lot of traditional composting as well. So the 3-stage system, this was built by our friends at A1 Organics here in Colorado. And so kids, we have a composting team. They bring in compost. Everybody brings in compost who want to participate. The student with the most compost brought in will win an extra stipend on their check. And so it's a great way for us to continue to take food waste out of the trash and put it into something useful. And then on the right, we do leaf mold. And so we have a lot of friends who bring bags of leaves in the fall, and we use that in a variety of ways. Number one, our chickens love to dig around in it. We put some in our omelet. We put it in this structure here on the right. We water it, we turn it, we let it break down, and then we top dress any of our garden beds. We also feed it to our worms, and then we also put it in our compost. Like I mentioned, we have hives. So last year we had 2 hives, and this year, last week, it was 60 degrees, and so which is very abnormal for us. We popped open the hives thinking they were dead, and we are so happy to report that they are alive and well. Since I thought they were dead, I had ordered 2 new packages, and then another friend of ours donated another hive. So this year we will have 5 hives for our bee team. It's still a lot of winter left. We do have a mite problem in the surrounding area, so who knows what will happen, but it's a great way to have these hard conversations with our youth about what it's like to work in a team, what it's like when something happens, things like that. So let's talk about some of the successes that we had at the farm. So in 2023, we had 959 visitors who came to the farm. The majority of these visitors got tours from one of our lead students. We gave 555 tours in 2023. This year we grew 1,100 pounds of produce and hundreds of flowers, which compared to last year, we only grew food the year prior and not any flowers. It was great addition to have so many beautiful flowers. Some additions that we added to the farm, and when I say additions, these are projects that our students worked on. We added solar to our farm. We do not have power, and so next year, or this year, excuse me, it will run our irrigation. We're super excited about that. They raised 6 chickens from their first day of life that they added to our current flock. They modified the omelet so that they could have a separate room to keep the babies in, so that until they were older, so that the older chickens wouldn't hurt them. We built this great wall of chicken, which divides the farm into 2 parts. So one part being for the chickens, and then the rest of it being for our farm. Like I mentioned, our projects, we built a trash and recycling center, farm stand, rain collection. We entered the fair. So we had submitted 48 veggie and flower entries into Larimer County Fair, and 14 of our students placed in the top 3 of their category. We composted 63-gallon buckets of compostable items, and we took 150 bags of leaves and kept them out of the landfill. And then we started our Flower of Joys group and gave flowers to our partners and community. All right, so to learn more about us, for those of you who might not be familiar with American Horticulture Therapy Association, you can check out their website. For those of you who want to learn more about Loveland Youth Gardeners, you can follow us on social media. We're on Facebook and Instagram. You can get to that from our website. And if you have any questions after this meeting, or you're watching it recorded, and you'd like to know how to get connected or learn more, you can email me and I would be happy to chat with you. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Erica. That was very interesting to learn about all of the different kinds of programs, especially kind of diving deeper into the LEAD program. I want to offer up to participants, if you would like to ask any questions, please put them in the chat box. I currently don't see any questions in the chat box, but I do have my own questions. So if any of the other people helping out with this webinar here are getting questions, if you'll please share them. We would love to be able to ask Erica some questions since we still have some time. So Erica, you may have addressed this and I may have missed it. I wanted to kind of go back here. I was taking notes as you were sharing about your programs here. Is how many staff do you have, and do you take interns in the summer?
Oh, great question.
In addition to
Volunteers.
the participants and the volunteers that you already have.
Great question.
There.
We are a small but mighty agency. So there's the executive director and myself. And then we are hiring a farm manager and a volunteer manager. So there's usually 4 staff, 2 of them are full-time. The rest are part-time to 3/4 time. And then we do take interns. So I will have an horticulture therapy intern this year. So if anybody is looking for a place to get their hours in, that is with me. And then we also have some different level social work interns. Since our executive director is a licensed social work, we were able to supervise for that. We also have farm hands who come and work from workforce with us, and they help tend to the farm, because as you can imagine, there's a lot of work to be done around the farm. So we take a lot of interns. Our cap is usually about 5 in different varieties.
Okay, great. Yeah, so if you all didn't hear that, they have some open positions, and Erica is taking an intern this summer, so that would be great. I had a couple of questions about your main sources of funding, and how is Loveland Youth Gardeners funded?
It's a good question. So we try really hard to diversify our funding. So we have a large event. It's called the Loveland Garden Tour and Art Show. This is our 20th year this year. And so that is a huge fundraiser for us. It's our biggest event that we do. We also have some small events that we'll be adding to the farm this year. And so people will be able to participate in different things or, little workshops, things like that. We do a lot of grant writing. And so we looked specifically for funding to help with capacity building, to have more staff. And then we also have a lot of private donors that we work with who have been with us for a very long time. And this addition of our new farm and our new space, it's really more permanent than it has ever been in our history. And so that has really helped us to bring people to the farm. I have a really great return, like ROI on bringing people to the farm. So if people come to the farm and they do a tour, they usually are really inspired to donate. And so now we're trying to figure out how do we do that virtually, right? But those are our three main areas. Kelly, our director, is great at grant writing and making those relationships in our community. And we do a lot of different collaborations with different agencies. So we're not repeating the work. And so we can divide those funds better.
And it sounds like also the community is very supportive in providing in-kind donations, from the
Oh,
leaves to
yeah.
associated with the hives. And
When we built the farm, we had very little limited funds, very limited funds. And we just had this idea that we were going to start a newsletter. And so we would say, hey, this month we did this. Thank you to whoever did that. And this month we hope to do this. Can anybody help us? Right. And obviously, I think it was in COVID. So people wanted a way to safely help others. And so we would have people who would email and it'd be like, I could build some beds. Or I know somebody who will buy you stones, or I have a bobcat and I can move material around or whatever. And so it was, it was powerful to see all the people who have come up to help us in different capacities. Donations are great. Money is obviously needed, but also, sweat equity. People work, they come and help out. And so there's many ways to support us.
it's great. You really tapped into the community. So I have three questions here.
Okay.
One of them, are there any particular survey tools you use to measure improvements in behaviors and feelings of gardener participants?
We do. So I mentioned a little bit that during my interview and my reference checks that I do on the student is more of just to learn a little bit more. That's my initial intake and assessment of the students. Then at that point, we do initial evaluation survey that I created. It is gauged by ability. So some of the survey might be more pictures because that's what our student can easily handle. And then some of them are more open up-ended questions. And so we do that throughout this program. We do a beginning and an end and a middle assessment. We also, when we set goals for the students, we work towards those. And so I want them to learn how to advocate for themselves. So they meet with me periodically and they're talking about how they are going through these goals. What have they completed? Not just what I think they have done, but what they see, because I want them to learn how to start to do that. So we do that. And then we also do some interviewing of the parents about what has changed for their student while they were with us. And so we do a wide range of data collecting.
Great, thank you. How are you teaching the horticulture science in your program? Is it informal and hands-on, or is it in a classroom setting, or maybe a combination?
We don't have a classroom. So you saw photos of our farm. We don't really have a structure. So we are outside if it's raining, unless it's really bad. But we do everything hands-on because I think that is, for me, the best way I learn. And so we are talking about soil. We are talking about how to properly plant. We're talking about plant parts. We are eating plant parts. I mean, so everything is hands-on and exploration, because I think that is the best way to teach our kids. Now, when I'm going into classrooms for our Repair to Grow, I bring everything with me, but it's still hands-on, but it's maybe not as physical as if you were at the farm. We're sitting at a table, but everything is still hands-on and exploration, and not me just talking, because it's not great.
So in the LEAD program in particular, do you have certain key things that you intend to address throughout the course of the summer, and it just kind of naturally evolves over the course of the program?
Yeah, so I create, I'm not a teacher, so I had to learn lesson planning. And so I have different topics that we talk about throughout this season. Now it's kind of challenging because we have returning students and new students. So sometimes I'm not doing the same set of skills every year, but I'm also bringing our new people up to speed on whatever those topics are. So, composting is one that we talk about a lot. We're talking about the different types of soil and how does that, how does that make changes to how we water and things like that. So yes, we have a set of skills, but it also depends on what we're growing, right? So maybe we have like somebody wanted to grow okra a couple years in a row, and so I don't like okra. I'd never grown okra, and so I had to quickly we talked about what does it taste like? How do we cook it? How does it grow? Their flower stage, things like that. So sometimes it's impromptu because something's happening at the farm that we didn't expect, and sometimes I try to plan those lessons. But as anybody who has worked with youth, we can plan all we want, and that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to go that way.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay. The youth you work with and support are trauma impacted. Are there some involved in child protection? And if so, do you find your program helps with goals around reunification with their family if the youth is in care?
That's a good question. We do have kids who are in the foster care, or they have, or their family has an open case. I don't have a lot of goals about reunification, because that's not necessarily the focus of what we're trying to work on. And we don't really do family support events where we're working on the entire family. And so we're really just focused on the kid. So I don't have any metrics for that. But our hope is that by supporting the student and giving them that moment to breathe, that they can take that with them into their life. But for those of us who work with youth in this capacity, we do the best we can, and then we do send them back home. And so we can't change what's going on at home or what's supporting, but we do provide them an outlet to breathe and be connected to something healthy. So it doesn't really answer your question, but let me know if you have any follow-up questions.
Okay, thank you. I have Shauna Farmer has some questions here, and so I'll ask them not all at the same time. How many kids get turned away for lack of capacity?
That's a good question. So I can, for lead, I can only take 15 kids because of the amount of needs that they have. And so I have a waiting list. Usually about 5 or 6 people. It grows every year. And so it's hard. It's very hard. I get that when I present a lot. People are like, how come you don't have 30 people or 45 people? And I wish I could take all of the kids, but given the needs and the amount of support that they would need, and there's only one of me, we would really have to grow significantly. And I think it would take away with what we were able to do.
Are there kids who need a level of support that you cannot provide such that you cannot accept them?
Um, yes, sometimes I had a student this past year who had more physical needs and limitations in processing. And so that made me want to start a different group specifically for friends like my friend that I'm talking about. She was not turned down though. She participated with her, and we had a volunteer or a staff person that worked with her every day to keep her engaged. And it was hard, right? And I worried about what kind of experiences she was having. My HT intern last year did her case study on her. And so we really made a lot of different interventions or adaptations for her for the program, a lot of repetition, and I think it was successful. She is my first student who I will have to figure out a different type of programming for her. I have never turned a student away. I've only been in this role for 4 years here at this agency. Yeah, so I have had to have students that I send home though, because their options are they either work or they have to go home. And if they can't do what they're supposed to do, then they can try again tomorrow. The repair cycle is very important with all of our staff and volunteers and our youth, but that they are required to to show up and do their work, because if not, then their peers get jealous that they're not working.
Thank you. Do you have kids with cognitive challenges?
I do. We have quite a, I'd have to look at the percentage, but we do. We have a lot of students. I would say about 30% of our students every year have cognitive challenges.
Do you have kiddos that are referred by agencies, social services, or county juvenile justice? And do these students come with government funding?
No. They are referred to us, but it's not, if they're referred, that doesn't mean they automatically get a spot. They usually they refer to us, and then I send the applications. Applications open March 1st, and so they can be referred to us that way. It doesn't necessarily mean they get a spot. A lot of our kids, the only kids that get government support are the Department of Vocational Rehab. So some of our students who are 16 through 21 who have been identified by the federal government and needing extra vocational skills, we do get some funding for that. Our Repair to Grow programming that is very specific to agencies, we do some different funding for that, and there might be some dollars that we get to tap into for those types of projects, and those groups pay me for my time, or pay the agency for my time for coming in and doing some wraparound services.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's the end of the questions that I have received in the chat box. And we have a couple of more minutes here before we reach our 1 hour point. And I want to respect everyone's time here. Let's see. I had one more question.
There's some questions that came directly to me. I just saw. Sorry.
Yeah, sure.
So how do I fund the stipends? Okay, and how much are they? So the stipends are $300 for the basic level, like just the regular Tuesday through Thursday. Teams vary. So the downtown watery team is the most. It's $250. The B team is $100. Everything else I think is around between $100 and $200. We're changing them this year, so I'm not 100% sure. Those stipends come from specific donations or grants that we have written, and people have earmarked those funds specifically. A lot of people like to support the LEAD program, and so those are where those dollars go to first. I had a question about Tennessee. Are there any programs like this in my region? I don't know, but we could find you a regional group, HT regional group that you could join and learn. So if you want to shoot me an email, Karen, I would be happy to kind of pinpoint you. I facilitate all our regions in the HT realm, and so I'm happy to kind of figure out what's in your network.
There's definitely some practitioners in Tennessee that I know of, specifically with the University of Tennessee in Knoxville. That might be somebody to tap into there, but please reach out to Erica because she can really connect you.
We'll find somebody for you. And then speaking to you regarding internships, please also, if you'd like to talk about an internship, it will be posted on our website soon, but please reach out. The Master Gardeners play a big role in our program. They sure do. I'm a Master Gardener, and I don't know what we would do if it wasn't for our Master Gardeners. And so, like I mentioned, they do planting day. They help with special projects. They help with plants. I put a call out, is anybody dividing their plants? And some of them who have a passion for youth, they come and work regularly. One of our volunteer of the year last year, she's a Master Gardener, and she came one day to take photos and has never left. I'm trying to think.
And we are right on that time.
Perfect.
So are there any other questions that you wanted to address in the chat box that you have?
No, I think that's all I can see.
And I just received a question about, will there be a recording? And this is a great question to end on here. Yes, there will be. We've been recording this presentation today, and we will be putting it up on the Florida Horticulture for Health Network YouTube channel. That usually is posted within about a week if everything works well with the universe. And And we will also, I believe, Jessica, we will be sending out an email to all of those who registered for today, so that that link will hopefully be in that email. And we also post it on our social media on the Florida Horticulture for Health Network social media, so you can look there. And also, if you want to follow the Loveland Youth Gardeners on social media as well, they will also be posting a link, is my understanding, Erica. So so thank you all so much for joining us for this webinar. We hope that you'll join us again for the next webinar coming up on March 4th. And registration information is on the Florida Horticulture for Health Network website, and also coming up on our social media later this afternoon.